This episode is sponsored by invest2give.com.
Okay, so I'm glad that you asked this question because a lot of people enter into options trading with the conception that you have to own shares, and you absolutely don't, right? Um,
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting show of the About That Wallet podcast, where we help the sandwich generation build strong financial habits so that they can spend money, talk about money, and enjoy their money with confidence. Today, I have a former higher ed professional who turned a full time stock and option trader and wealth strategist. She is the CEO of Invest to Give and Stocks and Sorors, and she is on a mission to help professionals build income on demand through stock and option trading. Welcome to the show, Laquore Meadows.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here, Anthony.
Yeah, so one of the things that we gotta definitely talk about is how can everyday people really rewrite their health story with options?
Ooh, I love that question, first and foremost. I want to, first and foremost, just again say thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to be of service to your audience. So, to get to the question, what can everyday people do to build wealth through options trading? I think the first most important component of that is first believing that you can, right? Success in the stock market truly starts with one's mindset. What's going on up here? It's understanding that despite the way it may look, despite all the numbers and all the things that there is to learn, you can do this because plenty other people have done it alongside you. I think the second thing, once that belief factor is in place and crystallized in your mind, I think the next step is really taking the time to educate yourself, understanding what first and foremost are options, right? But then secondly, understanding the strategies that you can leverage by using them as well. Okay, that is key because there's so many different ways and modalities that we can get, like I say, to the bag, right? Really spending time researching and understanding what they are and then finding the actual strategy that works best for you. For me, it took a little bit of time. So I started out with trading stocks initially, and then I moved into trading options, but I was primarily buying calls and puts. But I learned over time, and after making some mistakes out here in these streets, right, that truly my sweet spot is actually being a seller of options, right? And so
Interesting.
yes, that's where I am. So spending time learning, I think, is the next step. And I would say the final thing I would say is we can learn all day, right? We can spend time watching YouTube videos. We can spend time, listening to free webinars. We can spend time hiring coaches, all the things. All of those things are great. But until you actually execute, until you actually push the button, we've just got knowledge. We're not actually working towards the goals that we've set out to accomplish. So execution at the end of the day is absolutely key.
Wow. When these different platforms that are out there, I'm just throw one out there, like Schwab, which has been one of the big ones, and also Vanguard as the big two that I can think of right now that a lot of people are already invested in. Would you consider them testing out like the paper money trail or anything like that to educate themselves on options?
Absolutely, 100%. So one thing that I get asked often as I'm teaching my various webinars and so forth, people always ask me, how much money do I need to start trading? Right. And my response is always the same thing, and that is zero. Okay. Absolutely nothing. Because it is helpful as you get started navigating in the stock market to practice first. And so that gets right to what you're asking about the various paper trading accounts that one can use. They look very similar, if not almost exact to a live trading account, but it allows you to get practice to, as I say, to glow up and to blow up accounts before you put your real money to work. So 100% using platforms like Charles Schwab, which used to be TD Ameritrade back in the day.
I love CD Ameritrade.
Yes, absolutely. They have such great education. Like before COVID, I was literally traveling all over the country, going to their trainings and so forth. But that's one of them. The other is my broker. I use TradeStation. I also have Charles Schwab too, but I use TradeStation. They have a very nice sim account. And then another one that I often mention is called Webull, Webull. They also are known for their technology, but they have a simulator too.
Yeah, I actually met them at FinCon twice.
Right?
Um,
Good.
they are so awesome, great group of people there. They always supportive in everything that you do.
Yes, amazing. Do you have a Webull account?
I do. I put a couple stocks in there and I just kind of left it alone, but it's been a while, so I might need to go back and check it out. Maybe it might be like $1 million in there. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, go back and check it. And if you need help, like looking at it, let me know. Okay, I'm more than happy to help you.
But yeah, definitely. I'll be because right now, so the person that's listening to this, they either have children or they have parents that they got to deal with, and they already squeezed with their finances. You already said using Rising Zero, but what would be the next comfortable amount, like percentage wise? Because we can't tell people how much to put in there, but percentage wise, what would be a good percentage of their current income or not disposable, discretionary income should they utilize into the market?
Yeah, so I would say even if you can commit 10 to 15% just to start testing some things out, I think that's a great place to start. And also it's very dependent upon the strategy that you're using. So if you
Right.
decide that you want to buy shares of stocks and you're not buying fractional shares, you're buying whole shares, that's going to cost a little bit depending on the actual companies that you're leveraging are the ETFs or the index funds that you're leveraging. But if you trade options, on the other hand, that's a lot less expensive way to profit in the market by leveraging contracts. And so with that, less capital is needed in order to generate the funds that you desire to generate.
So, what is an option? I know we've been throwing it out there, but just for the people who are new to all of this, what is an option?
Yes, it is my favorite way to trade. So let's talk about it. All right. So there's two things that we can do on the market, right? When we're speaking about the stock market, crypto and all that, something forex, all that's something completely different. But we can either trade stocks or we can trade options. All right. When we're trading stocks, we're acquiring ownership over publicly traded companies. So just like we walk into Macy's, Walmart, wherever, we can also become partial owners of those companies too. Options is different because we're not seeking ownership. We're actually seeking rights. With options, we are purchasing contracts that give us the right to buy or the right to sell shares of stock. All right. And every contract that we buy controls 100 shares. So the way that I like to explain this when I'm teaching it is it's like going to acquire access to a vehicle. We can go to the dealership and we can buy a whole car if we want to, right? But we also have to come with a whole bag, right? Or access to a whole bag in order to be able to get that car, right? Or we can go to a rental car company and we can get the same car that we can get at the dealership, but we're only paying a fraction of the price to utilize that. Okay. So stocks is like going to the dealership, options is like going to the rental car company. You have a specific amount of time to leverage that, but it costs us a whole lot less.
Hmm,
So hopefully that
okay,
makes sense.
it makes sense because now that we got like 100 shares or a contract for 100 shares, because one of the things that's been confusing to me is either when you do an option and you're actually in the money versus out the money for that particular price range. How do you actually exercise that? Do you need to make sure you have 100 shares of that particular company onto the side plus that option in order to make that additional call? Or do you, as you can see, I dabble in it a little bit?
I see you.
A little bit.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm glad that you asked this question because a lot of people enter into options trading with the conception that you have to own shares, and you absolutely don't, right? What you need to do, because I'm trying to figure out how the best way to explain this. I think that that conception comes from something called cover calls. And if you trade cover calls, yes, that does require you to own 100 shares. And then you sell a call on top of that. All right. But if you are just simply seeking to profit from options trading through the appreciation of your contract, then you don't have to own those shares. You would just buy a call if you're bullish, if you think prices are going to rally, or you will buy a put if you think the prices are going to fall from whatever security you're trading. So, no, you don't have to own shares at all.
All right. So how do we make money doing options?
Yes. Okay. So, most options traders, so there's two sides to options trading. There's the buy side and there's the sell side. Okay. Most options traders are on the buy side. And so as a buyer, the way that you make money is off of the appreciation and the value of your contract. All right. So what makes your contract appreciate? There's a lot of things that go into this, but I'm going to make it real simple. One of the things that we want to be really paying attention to is the direction the price is moving. Okay. So let's use Amazon as our example. So let's say that Amazon is worth, let's just say $150. Okay. We want the price, the value of Amazon to move from 150 to 170, 180, 190, 200, 250. As the price of Amazon continues to appreciate, then that helps our contract value to also appreciate. All right. Now let's look on the opposite side of that too. Let's think Peloton. All right. Peloton during the pandemic was killing the game.
Yeah, they were.
Then after the pandemic, listen, complete struggle bus. All right. So during that time, post pandemic, the value of Peloton stock started to fall. But that doesn't mean that we got to lose money. No, as stock traders, we can actually benefit from that fall. That's one thing I love about the stock market because I don't know what other business you can make money if a company's on a struggle bus. All right. But Peloton is an example of that. In option speak, what you would do is buy a put. Okay. And so as Peloton fell from 120 to 110 to 100 to 90 to 80 to now it's like $6 or something, right? You can make money as it falls down. All right. And so that then will increase the value of that contract as well. So that's what you're looking for as a buyer. And I'm happy
Okay.
to use sellers too, but that's a whole different
Right.
strategy.
Cause I did the same thing, but I did more before I got into options, I was actually buying puts and buying calls on the actual stocks themselves instead of doing options. And so it's a big difference. Like you said, the price of it is completely different on the two, which I thought was interesting. So getting into it, how do you figure out which industry or which company to actually decide to actually start playing on with this? I would say playing
Yeah.
on because we do not play money. We want to.
Yes, it's all strategy. It's all strategy, right? So, with that said, when we are looking to trade options or even trade stocks, one of the things that we want to look at initially is this company quality, right? We don't want to be out here trading Joe Small Blow, right? And Joe Small Blow could act a complete fool, right? We don't want that, right? We want to have something that's going to be predictable so that when we trade it, we have an idea of what it's most likely to do, all right? So that's first. The second thing to selecting a strong company is that we need to find movers. So as a stock trader, it's painful to trade a company that's only moving like a couple of cents every day, right? Not unless you're buying a whole lot of them and leveraging that small move. As a stock trader, we need it to get up and go to work, right? So we're going to look for companies that move. The third thing, we need to make sure that we understand what it's saying on its charts. Okay. Or is it adhering to its levels and so forth? And then that is what it's kind of my formula to finding companies to trade. Now, do I stick to a specific industry? Not really. I'm primarily tech, right? Because those are the ones that perform pretty well. But I also trade healthcare. I may do some industrials and so forth and so forth. But for the most part, my sweet spot is I trade the SPY, which is the total market, right? An ETF that covers the total market as well.
Okay, I totally forgot that you can actually do ETFs.
Yeah,
That is
100%.
so cool. Okay, well, you might need to get back on the options game again. It's so
Absolutely.
fun. So when did you discover all of this? Like, did your mom tell you about it? Your dad or somebody, your family?
Not at all. Not at all. So I did not grow up having conversations about none of this around my dinner table at all, right? If anything, I had lots of love, hugs, and kisses, but none of this. Actually, I was exposed to the stock market when I was in college, right? And the exposure was not true exposure, it was truly a statement that was made. As I was walking out of my accounting class, I will never forget. My instructor just made a random statement. He says, if you guys start in the stock market right now, start buying things in the stock market, you'll be multimillionaires by the time by the time you get older, right? And I heard that statement and regret the fact that I did not turn around and ask them, how do you do it? Right? It's always stuck with me, but I never truly figured it out until much later in life. All right. So, but I went and I bought like a CD. I got a CD and I was like, I thought that
Yeah,
was
we all have CDs, right?
that was not it. Okay. So I tried something, but it wasn't what I need. Okay. So how I got started in this was actually I had an opportunity to engage with a very wealthy woman who donated $5.3 million to the organization that I formerly led at The Ohio State University. And what she gave me was much more valuable than the money that she provided to the university. She gave me the keys to my financial freedom. And how she did that was through our conversations. I was so inspired by the fact that she gifted us $5.3 million and did not blink one time. I was like, listen, I need to know how she did this, right? And so she told me that she accumulated a large portion of her wealth through the stock market. And she told me how. And I was like, say less. And so that's what got me started on my journey because I too want to be in position so that I can build and leave a legacy that will someday be the answer to someone's prayers. And that's how I got started because she inspired me. She taught me. And from there, I just took off, started hiring coaches, read books, YouTube, all the things in order to learn the things that I understand today.
So, what year was that from the college professor to meeting the philanthropist?
Ooh, child, a long time.
Okay, like 10-year difference?
2017. I graduated, so 17 years. 17 years difference.
Oh, yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, they usually say you should be able to at least hit $1 million in 10 years, no matter what year you start. Okay, and you also talk about hiring mentors, because that's another thing that a lot of people are afraid to do, is which is to put down money, but also the trust comes into it, because as we talked in the green screen, not everybody is out for your benefit. So how do
100%.
you vet the right ones?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good question. How do you vet the right ones? And that's so important because there's a lot of coach hurt out here in these streets. For me, so I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching over the years. And how I found my coaches was truly through discernment. Right. I spent time watching them. I spent time listening very closely to what they say. I spent time thinking about who are they associating themselves with as well. And that is what has helped me to make the decisions that I've made around coaching. Now, I truly believe, however, that if you got the right coach, that's the cheat code. Seriously, right? Because we can spend all day going through all the things trying to figure out how to put these puzzle pieces together, but you can have somebody literally right in your midst that you can ask that one question to and it changes everything. So I think that discernment is important. Watching that person's moves, I think, is also really important too. And then also looking at their track record. Because there's a lot of people out here right now that are teaching people how to trade. And I'm like, what? Like that ain't right, that ain't right, so it is like I want to be able like, no, it's this, it's that, And yeah, so some things just kind of burn my, as my mother would say, burn my butter.
Can you give us like one example? Like what was it?
To
That's
burn
like
my
I
butter?
want. Yeah. What
Ooh,
was it?
yes, I got one come right to mind. Okay, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I should say this, but you asked, I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
So, no, so I was at a conference, and the conference was phenomenal, great conference, and knew the leader of the conference because I was one of that person's mentees. Well, I saw because of that, I got a shout out. Found out that I'm a stock trader, I coach trading and so forth. And so this attracted a person who was also a coach, right? And she told me, so we started talking, and I'm asking her about different companies. I'm asking her questions like, okay, so what strategy you using? I'm going through all the
Yeah, yeah.
trader talk. And she's like, has no clue about anything I'm talking about. None. Not one. Okay. And so I said, well, if you don't, I just said, like, how are you making these decisions? Right. And so I'm like, how are you coaching your students? And she's like, well, I could just feel it. And she started doing this. I could feel it. I could feel it.
Right.
And so I literally, like, in my mind, just lost it because you are leading people, right? And you're leading people off of an emotion. One key to the success in the stock market as a stock trader is to take the emotion out of it as much as possible. This is not a feeling industry. This is, what do I see, right? And what decisions do I need to make in order to make sure that my bag shows up for me, right? And to teach people, because you got a hunch that Tesla's going to do a thing, no, baby, that ain't right. And so that burned my butter. 100%.
Well, because talking about the feelings, because I also do the same thing with budgeting. It's like you got to take your feelings out of the whole situation. Just because you don't feel like looking at your bill doesn't mean your bill doesn't exist. Like, so how do you separate your emotions out of, when you're going through the ups and downs and trials and tribulations of the stock market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I haven't always been the trader that I am today. Okay. So I'm in the top 16% of stock traders on TradeStation. That's my broker in both performance and profitability. But
Congrats.
listen, it ain't always been that way. Okay. Not, right? So I have evolved over time. As a new stock trader, it is not easy to take your emotions out of it because you're still learning for number one, but also you're investing your funds. And you're like, okay, if something goes sideways, it's always like a feeling of, okay, I hope that this comes back, right? And that doesn't always happen. So what I've had to do in order to help myself pull those emotions out is I literally have had to be very strategic around training my mind to believe what I see, right? So if I see that the candlestick, right? Because if I'm intraday and I'm looking at my charts, if that candlestick is hitting the seller's level, baby, and you bullish, it's time to go ahead and get out. Don't just think that it's going to fly through that. It might, but you see this right here. And so I actually sometimes have to talk to myself out loud. Laquore, it's right there, right? So taking that and being more subjective is really, really, really important as well, okay? Also, one thing that has helped me too is really looking at this like a business. So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a stock trader and I'm also an entrepreneur. If I don't have money to keep this business going, guess what? Dr. Laquore Meadows is going back to work.
I
Right?
know.
Yeah, okay. She can trade, of course. Yeah, I make money with trading. That's great. But I also want to make sure that my business continues to stay afloat too, right? So I look at trading very much similar to where I look at business too.
I like that. And keeping that afloat, far as like your legacy side of the house, do you plan on leaving the business with anybody?
My business, so I've talked to my daughter about it. She don't want it way too much, right?
Right.
Yeah, like I've taught her how to trade, things like that. But as far as the business, I have been thinking a lot about that. I would love to grow the business to a place where it could be sold, right, later down the line. Today, however, I'm really focused on client results, right? So that's my legacy that I'm working on right now. I have so many success stories, so many testimonials out there, people building boreholes in Ghana because they learn how to trade options, people building houses because they're trading options, and people making what one of my students the other day, she made $30,000 off of Meta the other day. I mean, success story after success story after success story. So right now, when I think about the business, when I think about legacy, it's truly my students that are fulfilling that mission for me.
So how can somebody sign up to this program to get started with this?
Yeah, 100%. So I have a masterclass that I do weekly. right now. It is called Options Made Simple. Okay, so the whole goal behind that is to really break down all this terminology and help those who are interested in trading options get started. So they can sign up. Anyone who's interested can sign up by going to thisishowYouTrade.com. Youtrade.com. And I would love to see them there.
Oh, that's great. No, because I mean, it's going to, since we're talking about the futures and options is obviously talking about the future of the stocks. So, what is next for you? What do you feel like that will be the most impactful thing from a habit perspective that you feel like you need to improve upon?
Oh, I love that question. So my mind just went all over the place because I have a couple of things that are next for me. One is really focusing in on more in-person experiences, right? What I've been doing to date has primarily been web, online, virtual, right? I have a whole community, stocks and sorors, and am actually in the process now of getting the yard on Wall Street back up and running. My mom passed, my dad has been in the hospital, all the things have happened. So that slowed me down with those things. But I'm back. I'm back now. I'm super excited about that. So more in-person experiences will be coming from Investigative here in the near future. Also, just taking better care of self, right? That's key to being successful in the stock market. Stock trading is a mental sport, right? And all of us experience things in life that kind of throw us off our game. Mines have been parental, being a caregiver. It's thrown me off my game a bit, right? But being able to take care of myself is a significant priority moving forward too. In that way, I can then help others even more.
So, because of the knowledge that you've gained, the experiences that you had in the past, and that one inquisitive question that you started from college to now, what really allowed you to almost be there for your parents through those last moments in time. So it's almost like a blessing from having that moment, even though you didn't grow up in it, to start now being able to give back and be there for them in a different capacity than they were for you. So now that your daughter can see, I'm sure you were there for like all the fun activities and the things that a lot of people can't be there for their own children.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you for one keeping that one question alive to bring you to now we actually having this conversation and being able to give back to the community. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you for recognizing that too. I do, when I'm doing some of my master classes, I talk about the fact of what you just said. Because of the stock market, I was able to spend a month in Hawaii with my mother for her last month of her life. We were there having a great time, right? She was fine. Unfortunately, something happened and she just didn't wake up. So yeah, but because I learned, and I say this when I'm teaching, I said, because I learned how to analyze a chart and press a few buttons, that time I had with her, invaluable, invaluable. Yes, and same for my father too.
That's amazing because it's getting me to think now, like this stock trading is more than just the money.
And
It's,
freedom.
yes, it's providing you the freedom to do what you want to do and the reason why money is there.
Yes.
I had one of my clients because we were just chit chatting, and she was like, "Yeah, I got all this stuff building up. I got all these bills and everything like that. And I got credit card bills, and I'm trying to pay off." And I was just asking her, I was like, "Well, you have some loose investments, but you have your 401k. Your 401k is already investing in the market as it is. You have this loose money here. Why you have the option?" To utilize that funding to kind of take care of yourself and your kids because she's dealing with her kids as well. So because she was able to do that, it just kind of like freed up. Now she's like mentally like able to function now because of the investments that she did in the past, not thinking ever to cash those in, which then brings to the point, when do you cash in?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that the answer to that question of when do you cash in is very much an individual decision, right? When we are investing versus trading, that decision will vary, right? From an investor standpoint, one thing I always encourage people is to give your investments an assignment, right? For me, my long-term investments have an assignment to make sure that the little girl in the room across from me right now is going to have a decent college education, right? So that's the assignment that those funds have. And they're working quite nicely, thank goodness, right?
Right.
Right, right. Especially look, it even helped even more this past Friday with Jerome Powell's speech in Jackson Hole. So I'm excited about that. So the assignment I think is really important. And so for me, that's when I will sell when it's time for me to pay for college tuition. For and stock trader, however, the time comes when the charts say the time is there, right? It's all about understanding how to read charts, technical analysis, and so forth. And then that's what helps us as traders make that decision and not a hunch, like I was saying earlier.
Right. Because for the person that's listening to this as an audio side of the house, and that's the reason why, like, I would love to actually like look at a chart and try to analyze it, but it's tough to do that when we're doing it virtually
Yeah.
because they can't see it.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you kind of recommend to kind of like a resource that people can go to? Obviously, we did say that you can go to the brokers, but in case you don't have a login account, is there like books or anything like that?
Yeah, so I would recommend a couple of things. One, if you ever want me to do like a class for your audience, I'm happy to do that. Absolutely free,
Okay.
to help people to understand how to read stock charts and things. But there's a couple of resources that I would recommend. One would be Trading View. TradingView.com is a great website that you can go to and you can actually run scans to figure out, okay, what companies meet the type of criteria that you like. If you're looking for price points, if you're looking for percentage move, if you're looking for specific industries, they can help you to identify companies that align with that. Also, they have really, really good charting tools so you can go in and learn how to read stock charts and things like that. So that's a place to go. As far as books, the book that I really like that I used when I first started, it was called the Candlestick Course. Now, the thing that I like about this book in particular is the fact that at the end of each chapter, it has quizzes that you can be quizzed on, right? To make sure that you're really nailing the concepts that were taught in the book. It also is very thorough. Do you need to understand everything so intricately as that book teaches to be successful? No, you don't. But it's a great start. All right. So that would be something that I would recommend too.
Awesome.
And
Yeah,
there's
I'll
other books out
definitely have to buy that one.
there. Yes, it's a good one. It's a good one. You can
Okay.
get it on Amazon.
I was gonna go with the library for free.
Okay, even better, right?
Right. We are about that wallet, we gotta save a few
Right.
dollars. So, is there anything for the person that's listening right now that you want to leave with before we go to the final four questions?
So I think the thing that I would like to leave your audience with is take the step. Take the step. There are so many things in life that we have aspirations to accomplish, right? There's so many things in my life that I've like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. One of them is real estate. And I'm finally getting to the place where I'm getting ready to buy a property. We could look up 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years from now and be like, dang, I never did that thing, right? And so I encourage people to take the step so that next year, this time, that goal can be accomplished. So that will be what I would have to share.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you ready for the final four?
I am, yes.
Awesome. All right. So, the final four questions are the final four questions that I try to wrap up the show just to kind of get a little bit more to know about you, in a sense. Question one: what does wealth mean to you?
Freedom. It means
Mm,
freedom. It's much more than money. Okay. It's having the mental space to be, do, and have. It's being able to have your time freedom. It's being able to be at peace. It's being able to wake up like I do every single day and go to the park, right? And walk 4 miles, right? It's being able to take care of those people, the causes and things that you care most about, right? So to me, it's freedom.
Number 2, what was your worst money mistake?
Taking a trade on a Friday when I knew better. Okay. So my favorite trading strategy is vertical credit spreads. And so the thing about vertical credit spreads is you need to make sure that the current price of the security you're trading does not cross over your strike. All right. That's the key. Well, on a Friday, I was on my way to go get new furniture. I was like, let me go ahead and take a trade. This will help with this furniture I'm going to get. Okay. I knew better. So what happened, I was trading a SPY. And at the end of the day, there was a spike in volume and price just flew. And so I ended up losing $4,000 off of a $2 trade that it went $2 above my strike. $4,000. Okay. 4,000. I was like, I cannot believe it. On my way to get furniture. So I was so mad. I was so mad. So yeah, so that was a huge money mistake. And so the thing is that I went against what I knew to do because I was trying to make a quick win. So yeah. Won't do that again. Yes.
Number 3, is there a book that inspired your journey or changed your perspective?
The 4-Hour Work Week. That book was everything for me. Was not a trading book by any stretch of imagination, but it helped me to rethink about the use of my time and the ways that you can make money without having to literally use all your time on a 9 to 5. Right? I stopped trading. What did they say? My dollars for hours. Right? And it was that book that truly serves as a catalyst for it.
Great book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the books I got from the library. So, and then I
Yeah.
asked for it for Christmas because I was like, it's such a great book.
Awesome. It is a great book.
Number 4, what is your favorite dish to make?
Okay, so I was saying earlier, I don't cook. All right. Um, my daughter does. That's how I eat. But I will
Nice.
say my favorite dish these days, and it's not really a dish, but I'm really into green smoothies right now. And I enjoy the process of cutting up the cucumber, putting the spinach in, put my chia seeds, all the things. In this moment, it's definitely making a green smoothie.
You're the first smoothie person.
Okay.
Out of 150 something people I've interviewed, you're the only person that says smoothie. That's
Yes,
cool.
yes, that's my favorite.
Nice.
Mhm.
So I do have one question because I was just thought about it now, which is coming up with the seed money to start investing. For somebody that was like, yeah, we went through the paper trading, but now they're trying to utilize actual money. What strategies do you think will be best to kind of get the seed money to start their first trade, to start making, I guess you could say, real money? Because usually you don't make your real money till you hit like 100 shares of anything. And
Yeah. So, it again, it depends on the strategy that you want to use. So if you're trading options, it's not going to take as much money to profit, right? Like I literally not so long ago, I bought one contract of Tesla for $190, and I made $900 off of that contract. So it's possible. Now, remember I talked about you need a mover. Tesla moved that day, and so that's how I was able to do that. So in order to get seed money, one thing that came to mind initially when you asked that question was to look around, right? There's so many different ways that we can make money, right? In order to fund our dreams that look around, look around. Right. Some things that I did to get started was my 9 to 5 funded my investments. So instead of doing the Starbucks every day, right, instead of paying for the memberships that I didn't use, I started to funnel that money into my brokerage account. So that's what helped me to get started. I've seen other people do little side jobs and things like that in order to accumulate additional money. For me, I believe in building what I like to call a financial fortress. So I do multiple things to help me that if life starts life like it has been lately with caring for my dad, and I haven't had a chance to do all the things that I would like to do in the stock market, then I have other things helping to fund my investments and fund things for me, which is angel investing, right? So I invest in small businesses. So I'm getting ready to buy a property in real estate, right? So those are some things, of course, that takes money, but those are some other things that can help to actually fund an account as well.
Awesome. And thank you for that last tidbit before we wrapped up the show. So, this is the very last question of the show, which is where could people find out more about you?
Yes, you can find me on all social media channels at using the handle at invest, the number two give, GIVE. And if you're a member of a sorority, a Black D9 sorority, I also have a Facebook group called Stocks and Sorors, and would love to have you as a part.
And your website?
My website is invest, the number two.
Sweet, sweet. Thank you so much, Laquore, for taking your time out to really dive into, options, stocks, family situations, and really, showing the beauty of why education is so important. But not just education, but actually taking action. Because there's only so much education you can do, and really pouring back into the community. And I wanted to say thank you so much for doing that.
Awesome. The pleasure was truly all mine. Thanks for having me.
Well, for you that are listening, if you got anything out of this episode, please leave a message down below inside Spotify or even on YouTube. And definitely, if you know somebody that's curious into stock market and just want to have a partner, accountability partner, go ahead on and just start that journey. Start today. Start with $5 or even start with $0 and do the paper trading. Have some fun with it and learn all the things. All right, everybody, we out. Y'all be safe.